Okay, the third topic is on qualitative research data gathering. So, qualitative research data gathering is the process of you obtaining the data that you need in order to conduct your study. Okay? So, why is it important to gather data the proper way? To obtain richness and the depth of the data, okay? Because you have to extract meaning. And if it's only a little that you're gathering, pointless, okay? Flexibility, um, uh, you're allowed flexibility in terms of uh, you can ask. That's why we don't do the rigid structured questionnaire. You can jump from one to another, asking data, asking interviews, observation. It's flexible, okay? Participant-centered because for it to be valid, hindi ka, remember, a research paper is not opinionated, meaning it should not come from you. It should come from your participant. So when they explain things, yun. Yun yung dapat nakikita sa paper. That's the thing that they should be able to read. That the things, the experiences there are that of the participant. Okay. Now we have triangulation wherein we can use different models, different modes, different methods, how to interview someone. We can use observation, yung eyes. We can use interview. We can use paper trail, yung documents. Okay. That's why it's flexible also. And then, we can explore new research questions dun sa guide mo. If they mention something new that, uy, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's something, that's the power of qualitative kasi you get new knowledge. So types of qualitative data gathering methods: in-depth interviews, focus group discussion, observation, document analysis, visual. Mawala na akong boses. Excuse me. So in-depth interviews, this one, in all of the researches ng Quali, we use in-depth interview. Okay, we extract data via interview. Face-to-face, online, basta interview. We do not do survey, ha? Okay? Okay. It's just conversational style. Para fluid yung conversation nyo. Ay, sorry. So, advantages, we are provided a rich and detailed data. Again, we allow flexibility because you can adjust the questions you ask to what you need and based on what they ask, they answer. It's a participant-centered, and then confidentiality because it's only you talking. You don't interview someone in public. It's noisy. You cannot get verbatim response in public. Okay? You can generate unexpected insights because yun nga, you never thought of it and then they said something. Yun. So, disadvantages, time-consuming siya. Pwede kang magkaroon ng researcher bias because sometimes you agree or you don't agree with the answer. And sometimes you, as the researcher, you also have to watch out for your facial expressions. When they answer you, when they answer you, and then you frown or yung ngiti ka lang ng ngiti, parang, you have to keep a neutral face when you're discussing. Pero something that's engaging. Okay? Kasi if you frown, they'll think, ay, mali ba sinasabi ko? Okay? So they might, switch gears. Limited generalizability. As I've already mentioned that, hindi nga generalizable lahat ng pwede natin gawin sa Quali. Okay, how do you conduct this? You develop your question guide. Guide questions lang siya, ha? Hindi siya structured. Okay? obtain informed consent, conduct the interview in a private and comfortable setting. Okay? Record the interview, but you have to ask permission. Okay? Build rapport with the participant. Ask open-ended questions para pwede ka mag-follow up. And then follow up on emerging insights. Okay? And then, at the end, mag-debriefing kayo kung ano ang napag-usapan niyo. You summarize what you were able to talk about and then ask if they have any clarifications. Naririnig niyo pa ba ako? Nawawala na yung voice ko. Okay. Pa-thumbs up ako, please. If you can still hear me properly. Diyan pa kayo. Guys. Hello? Okay, thank you. Salamat. Okay. So, focus groups. Focus group discussion. From the word itself. Ay, paano ba ito? Thank you, thank you. Okay, focus groups. We facilitate a group discussion. The group should fit the criteria that you set. Meaning, similar sila ng experiences. They fit your criteria. They have to be at least 6 to 10 to be considered a group. Okay? They are gathered to share shared experiences, attitudes, beliefs on a particular topic. The discussion is guided by a set of open questions and allow participants to interact with each other. Now, ang role mo mo in focus groups is you're the facilitator. Okay? You facilitate the discussion. You can add input, but make sure they answer more. Okay? So, advantages. You get diverse perspectives. Okay? It's interactive because, they're talking with each other. So, sometimes they hear something new, then they'll add also. So, you get a rich, ang dami-dami mong makukuha data. That's why you have to record it because they're too fast. Sometimes they just keep on adding and adding. Cost-effective, why? You just have to be at one place and they'll be the one there. Okay? It's efficient because, in a short amount of time, you get all the data that you need. It can generate unexpected insights because they share different things and it's something new to all of them. The disadvantages, it can be biased. Your role, again, diba, is facilitator and sometimes mediator. Sometimes there are people in a focus group discussion that tend to monopolize the conversation. So your role is to make sure each one has an equal chance of talking at hindi lang si participant A ang nagsasalita. Everybody should be able to talk. Okay? And sometimes it's biased because sometimes there's a stronger personality in the group. So when that stronger personality talks, everybody tends to agree. Okay? Or similarly, if the stronger person disagrees, again, everyone disagrees. So you make sure that everyone has a say during the focus group. Limited generalizability because it's just for that group. You can't really, it's subjective in nature. Okay? Yan. And then, pati ikaw, you can also be biased because of how you felt during the interview. So how do we do this? You develop the research questions, you recruit the participants, 6 to 10, okay? Based on your criteria, you obtain informed consent, you record the focus group, you record it, that they have consent, each one, build rapport with the participants, encourage participation and interaction, follow up on emerging insights, and then thank them, and then again summarize the entire thing. So 2 ways of doing this. One is free form, meaning, sige, I ask a question, anyone can answer. Or another thing is, you ask the question, everybody should answer. Uh, Round robin. They participant one will answer, then two, three, four, five, six. Or another thing is exchange, meaning participant one answers and then someone will add it. Okay? It's fun actually because they're so noisy. You get all the ideas, you get really rich data. However, it's hard to control also if there's too many of them and they're too excited about the topic. So it's easy but it's also hard. I mean, it's enjoyable but it's hard. Okay. Okay. Observation. Ayan, eyes. Okay. Observation is you just record the behavior interactions. Okay. What we do here, we call them field notes or memoing. So with your pen and paper, you write down how did the participant look like when they answered, what gestures, what facial expressions or mannerisms were they doing. Why is it important? Because that could also serve as a theme later on. Everybody was happy, so happiness. Oh, that's a theme in itself already. Uh, Everybody was excited to answer my question, or participant was angry that that question was asked. So, sensitivity to certain questions, parang ganun. Okay? So, the observation is important to take note of how a person felt about your question or during that experience. So, it can add it can serve as a theme. Okay? So, advantages, it's natural because you can't fake you can't fake something when you're just being watched unless they're conscious and they try to act differently. Okay, rich data because the behaviors and what they're saying is the same, so it's similar. So galit na galit so for example, your participant said, galit na galit ako kay Lord nung namatay yung anak ko. Pero ang sinabi niya, galit na galit nga ako kay Lord eh. Nakangiti siya pero the statement is misconstrued, is misaligned, sorry. Okay. Can capture non-verbal behavior because you know when if it's a smile, if it's a frown, if it's tears, it's sadness. Okay. So it's flexible because wherever you are, if you're watching from afar, watching from near, you can see observations. And again, like as I mentioned, you can validate self-reported data if it's congruent. What is being said is similar to what you see. Okay. So disadvantages, you can be biased or you can misinterpret also the what you see. It's time consuming kasi you have to watch them for a period of time. And the ethical concerns because sometimes how do you know if you're allowed to observe? You need clearance, you need consent. Okay, how do you conduct observation? You have the question in your mind, you get the consent, and then you get the as observer role. You watch their activities, you record the observations, while you're interviewing them. Dalawa to sabay, observation and interview. So while you're asking the question, you're observing them, how they're answering. And then you write down on your memo notes, memoing, and then you analyze and interpret the data later on. Now, was he sad? Was he happy? Then you validate the text versus the facial expression. And then, of course, maintain ethical standards by being confidential na umiyak siya ng todo, ganun. Okay, then next is document analysis. You Qualitative allows you to review documents. This is not survey ha. This is documents, meaning printed documents, okay, reports, recordings, photographs, okay, that are published, okay. So you check the content and text. So pwedeng textual analysis, context, yan. So advantages, you get historical context because it's already been published. You already have considerable data already to use. It's accessible because it's published. It's unobtrusive because you don't need to talk to anyone. It's a piece of paper. You already just get the data from the paper. And you can have different perspectives because there can be different paper per different person. Okay. Disadvantages, you don't know the data quality, if it's accurate or not. Limited scope because not all of a person's life is on paper. It can be time consuming because you have to find the proper documents needed. Okay. So how do you do this? You identify relevant documents, you evaluate the quality and authenticity, develop a coding scheme, the content, context, and meaning of the documents. So i-highlight mo lang, for example, uh, uh, red means feelings, blue means activities, green means grades, example. Okay, then you analyze and interpret the data. Okay, then you validate the findings by again sharing, what do we call this? Member check. Okay, remember, member check. Member check. So member check is when you go back to your participant to ask them to check whether or not that is exactly what they feel. And then maintain ethical standards. The researcher should maintain ethical standards. Kasi that document, if they lent it to you, make sure ikaw lang may hawak. Don't share it with others. Okay. Visual methods. So I said photo voice. So these are different things: photographs, videos, drawings. Now, remember I mentioned interpretative phenomenology. You know, one thing you can do, I don't know if any one of you here is a psychiatric nurse. So what I did before was, I'm a CI before sa NC, National Center for Mental Health. So what we did is, one of the activities, right, is arts. Arts. The drawings of the the patients, and then the colors they used, I had my students interpret them. Okay, so that's interpretive phenomenology using drawings. Okay, so that's something you can do also. Kasi there's a book to guide you on interpreting drawings and colors. So each color, there's a certain meaning. And then you have, photographs. Okay. So, okay. Sige. Advantages and disadvantages. The narrative analysis, thematic analysis, similar lang siya. Okay? Mm. Okay? So, similar lang naman siya. You get the data, you generate the initial codes, the search for the themes, you review the themes, you define the themes, and you write up. Yun yung first ata kong present. Okay? Okay. So advantages, so it stimulates creativity kasi, usual research is on Word documents, right? Word files. Ito, photos, drawings, painting or colors. Yan. So it can provide rich data. It's accessible to diverse groups because not everyone can read. So we can cross barriers such as language or communication barriers. It provides a holistic view kasi different concepts, social, cultural, political, we can have that context. The disadvantage is maybe you would require specialized equipment. For example, photo voice, you need a camera. What if you don't have a camera? Recording equipment. Okay. It can be time consuming and the interpretation can be subjective. That's why for me, I like to use the in color interpreter for sa drawings. Kasi 'di ba sa mental, you give them the whole crayons and then they'll select a specific, they're only allowed one, right? You can't give them the whole box. So they have to select one. So based on the color that they selected, you have to interpret why was that color important to them. So black meaning sadness, death, sickness, okay. Red means love, happiness, excitement. Color interpretation, something. That's the gist of the book. How do we do this? You identify the appropriate visual stimuli. So for example, um, nurses burnout. What do you think is an appropriate stimuli? I think, is it photos or drawings? Pwede si drawings. However, I think a more appropriate is the photos because you'd see it more clearly. Sa drawing, galit siya. So, we won't be able to really appreciate drawings. Okay. Develop a plan for gathering the visual data. So, pagkuha ng a consent and then check if the equipment is available. Then you conduct the visual data gathering, you analyze, you validate, and then of course, ethics. So mixed method ulit, then triangulation, and then advantages. So mixed methods, again, quanti-qual. Okay, so triangulation, 3, meaning 3 or more modes of gathering data combined into one. Okay. So, it increases your validity and reliability kasi it's not just one. So, pwedeng nag-interview ka, nag-document analysis, and nag-observation ka. So, as I mentioned, there are a lot of advantages of mixed method. Walang disadvantages. Enhances the credibility, increases the richness, allows for validation because you can validate quanti to qual, quali to quan. Balance siya kasi may numbers, may words. Enables the identifications of patterns and discrepancies because you will be able to see parang konti lang yung sumagot sa quali na ganito but in quanti, if we check the profile, mas madami sana dapat. Okay? So, mas madami dapat na school age ang sumagot pero only a few verbalized in quali. Okay? So, I hope you were able to have a little understanding of how to do data gathering sa qualitative research. Okay? And sorry, last. May questions pa ba? Last na to. Ay,